and even insects like butterfly, bees, moths, they do this for fun. They do this for fun. If you notice or if you observe, most of the animals and insects listed here are insects that are seen basically on plants or on flowers. So for fun, they carry this pollen grain from this. They don't even know that's what they are doing, but that's what they are doing, and that is what helps agricultural practices. For fun, they carry these pollen grains from the anther of these plants to the stigma of another plant or of the same plant. Then water during rainfall. During rainfall, water can carry the plants. Maybe in the process of water carrying the plants while it's kind of causes little form of erosion on the surface of the soil, it carries pollen grains alongside, and these pollen grains, some are being wasted, some are being attached luckily to the stigma of another plant, and pollination takes place. Wind does the same as well. When there is wind, these pollen grains are being scattered and they are being carried from one to another for pollination to take place. Insects, okay, I have two insects here, just like they carry these pollen grains from one to another. So for these pollen grains to be transferred from one to another, they are the cause of these agents which are called pollinators. Are we together?
Yes, sir.
Yes, we are together, but I have something.
Yes,
I have a question, sir. I don't
Okay,
know
let's have your
if I
question.
would call it a question. In some of the past questions I've treated, sir, I understand your listing, sir, but sir, can you help us with some insect pollinated flowers and some wind pollinated flowers? Because these are some of the questions they ask under this.
Okay, the insect pollinated flowers and wind. Yes, that is. I like that observation of yours. It's actually a jam question. In that case, I'll just have to add it up to this slide. I have to edit it and add it up to this slide. I'll have a list of the insect pollinated flowers, the wind pollinated flowers, the water pollinated flowers, and animal pollinated flowers. I'll list them so that you can get hold of them. Or even if I don't list them, please do well to remind me of this in our next class, okay?
All right, sir. Thank you
That
very
is,
much, sir.
if before our class, our next class is tomorrow. If before our class tomorrow and it's not in your slide already, do well to remind me and I'll give it to you in class, okay?
All right, sir. Victory if I catch you.
So, going further, aside that, we are all good, right? We are all good, right? Aside the question I just attended to.
Yes, sir.
Good. Now,
Yes,
we
sir.
have some conditions that aids or that facilitates pollination. We have conditions that aid or that facilitates pollination. Talking about self-pollination, we have two conditions that aid the successfulness of self-pollination. And talking about cross-pollination, we have three conditions that aid cross-pollination. And just like they are on my screen, the two conditions that aid self-pollination are what we call the homogamy and pleistogamy. Homogamy and pleistogamy. These are the two conditions that aid self-pollination. And talking about cross-pollination, the three conditions that aid cross-pollination are the dichogamy, unisexuality, and self-sterility. These conditions are some of the conditions that are being that aids pollination. Now, talking about homogamy, homogamy simply refers to the ripening of the anther and stigma of a flower or of two flowers at the same time. Remember, we made emphasis when we were defining pollination. We said it's transfer of pollen grain, mature pollen grain from the anther of one plant to the mature stigma of another plant. There might be situations where, just like these agents of pollination, insects, when they are carrying pollen grains from one anther, from the anther of the plant to the stigma of another plant, they don't know if the stigma is ripened or if it's not ripened. They are just dropping it there. Same as other agents. Now, the situation where the anther and the stigma of either the same plant or of different plants are ripened at the same time. That is the condition we call homogamy. Did we get that?
Please come again, sir.
Recap, sir.
Okay, I said that there are conditions that aid self-pollination. There are conditions that aid self-pollination. I said it's homogamy and histogamy. I said that this homogamy is a situation where the anther and the stigma of the plant are ripe at the same time. When I'm talking about ripe, I'm talking about RIPE. When I'm talking about ripened, I'm talking about RIPENED. RIPENED. So the situation where the anther and the stigma of the flower are ripened at the same time, that is what we call homogamy. Is that clear?
Yes, sir, I understand now.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. So can you please repeat it?
Can I?
Can you please repeat it?
I said that homogamy. Your mic, please. I said that homogamy is the ripening of the anther and the stigma of a flower at the same time. The ripening of the anther and the stigma at the same time. That is literally what homogamy means. I now went further to explain, saying that these agents can carry pollen grains from the anther to the stigma. And there might be situations where they carry a ripened mature pollen grain from the anther to the stigma. And at times, they carry it to a stigma that is already ripened and ready for pollination. At times, they carry it to a stigma that is not yet properly ripened and is not ready for pollination. So the situation where they carry the mature pollen grain from the anther and they drop it in the mature stigma, that is what we call homogamy. That is the anther and stigma. They are both ripened, or they are both ripe, or they are both matured at the same time. Does that make sense now?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Now, talking about Christogamy. Christogamy is more like the opposite of the homogamy. Remember, I said that at times it transfers and drops in an already mature stigma, and pollination takes place immediately. That is homogamy. And the situation whereby it carries the mature pollen grain to the stigma that is not yet mature or ripe, and then that pollen grain has to be there for a while and wait for the stigma to mature or to ripe for pollination to take place. That is what we call Christogamy. So in homogamy, the anther and the stigma are the pollen grain. The anther and the stigma, both of them mature at the same time, and in Christogamy, they do not mature at the same time. Are we able to spot the difference?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Good. Now that is it about the condition that aids pollination. That is for self-pollination. Now, talking about cross-pollination, there are some other conditions that aid cross-pollination. These may have to do with conditions or devices that aid this pollination or enable them to take place. Devices or conditions that aid or enable the cross-pollination, that's transfer. Remember, talking about cross-pollination, we're talking about the transfer from the anther of one plant to the stigma of another plant, just like the diagram illustrates here. Now we have dicogamy, unisexuality, and self-sterility as the conditions that aid this self-pollination. Now, talking about dicogamy, dicogamy has to do with the ripening of the anther and the stigma. It has to do with the ripening of anther and the stigma of those two plants. At different times. Dicogamy is just like Christogamy, but dicogamy is talking about two plants, and Christogamy is talking about one flower or one plant. So dicogamy is the situation where is someone saying something?
Someone was sharing a screen. Or she's back to her brain now. She don't cut that.
So dicogamy, it is the ripening of the anther and the stigma of a flower of two different flowers at two. Someone say something.
So we are not seeing your screen.
So your screen isn't showing again.
It's not showing again.
Yeah, someone shared.
I can see your screen.
I can see your screen.
I can see your screen.
Is it showing now?
No, it's moving.
Your screen is showing, sir.
It's not
I
showing.
can see
No,
your screen. It's not showing, sir.
no, that's full screen.
It's not showing. Try to scroll down a bit. You see.
I cannot see it.
Sir, Gideon is sharing his screen. Which kind of Gideon is this one like this?
I
Who
cannot
is
see it,
sharing
sir.
screen?
You be like saying I don't smoke, you go for this class.
Language, please. I'm not seeing your screen, sir.
Okay, no, let me share that again.
Thank you.
Let me share that again so the issue will get corrected. How is it now?
Yes, sir, I can see your screen.
Yes, I can see it now.
I can see your screen.
Good.
Sir, please reshare your screen.
I should reshare my screen.
Yes, sir.
I can see it
Are there people that can see my screen now?
Yes, I can see your screen. I can see
I
it.
can see your screen.
Okay, so I want to believe that some other
I can
persons
see
are
you now.
not seeing this, possibly the network problem. Please try muting your mics. Try muting your mics so that we will not distract ourselves. Thank you. All right, so going further. Are we all good? You can continue, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we're talking about dicogamy, where we say that dicogamy has to do with the ripening of the anther and stigma of the flower of two different flowers at two different times, or at different times, just like it happens in Christogamy. Then this dicogamy occurs in two ways. This dicogamy occurs in two ways. The two ways in which this dicogamy occurs, I will have to put that down. Epigamy occurs in two ways, the protandry and the protogeny. Don't worry, I'll spell that. Protandry and the protogeny. Are you seeing my screen?
Yes, sir.
These are the two ways in which the progamy occurs, protandry and protogeny. Now, when we are talking about protandry, remember, we said that the progamy is a situation whereby the anther and stigma matures differently. Now, when we are talking about protandry, we are talking about the situation where the anther matures before the stigma. The situation whereby the anther matures before the stigma. That is protandry. Dicogamy is the situation where the anther and stigma are maturing differently. When the anther matures before the stigma, that form of dicogamy is called protandry dicogamy. And when the stigma matures earlier before the anther, that type of dicogamy is called protogeny dicogamy.
Sorry,
Did you get that? Sorry?
Sir, please repeat it.
Sir.
We are talking, all right, we are talking about the conditions that aid cross-pollination. And I told us that dicogamy is a condition, one of the conditions that aids cross-pollination. And I told us that dicogamy has to do with the anther and the stigma of flowers maturing at different times. The anther and the stigma of two flowers maturing at two different times. They don't mature together or they don't ripe together. It's either the anther matures before the stigma or the stigma matures before the anther. I now told us that in a situation that this dicogamy can be in two ways. Those two ways it can be in is a situation where those two ways are one. The anther can mature first while the stigma matures later. Or secondly, the stigma can mature first while the anther matures later. One matures before the other. So in a situation where the anther matures before the stigma, that is what we call protandry, highlighted on my screen. And in a situation where the stigma matures first or earlier before the anther, that is what we call protogeny. Does that make sense now?
Yes, sir. Thanks, sir.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
So that is what dicogamy as a condition that aids cross-pollination. That is what it is all about. Going to the other condition that aids cross-pollination, we have unisexuality. This unisexuality is a situation where some plants bear only male or female flowers and not both on the same plants. The situation where plants bear only male or female flowers without bearing both. You know, generally, most flowers or most plants are bisexuality or disexuality, in the sense that they always have both the male and the female. That is, what am I trying to say? Most plants, a plant you see will have both the gynoecium and the androecium. Have both the gynoecium and the androecium. That is the male, reproductive organ and the female reproductive organ of the flower. Now, in a situation where there are some plants that has either only the male reproductive organ or only